Right. Hello and welcome to another episode of A Friendly Film Take, a new podcast by Film News Blitz. It's the podcast for friendly film discussion and friendly film debate. And I'm your host, Dan Lawrence, and I'm joined today by Joe Matthews, one of our intrepid cinephiles and writers on the Film News Blitz website. Joe, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, mate. All feeling much better to be finally on the podcast. How about yourself?
I'm feeling good and happy to have you here. Um, Yes, what we're going to be talking about today? Well, the listeners and viewers who can catch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're going to talk about Christopher Nolan and what we deem to be his best films or top five films from each of us. And a little warning, we will be mentioning spoilers here or there. But to be honest, these aren't films that have just come out. So if you haven't seen them, where have you been? Because if you
Yeah,
like
come on.
films, you probably like Christopher Nolan films. But before we do that, Joe, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Because obviously you're quite a keen cinema goer. You go to cinemas quite a
Do
lot.
probably a
Um,
bit too much.
maybe you can't go to cinema too much.
That is true. That is true. But what I will say is, my Odeon Limitless, I get great value out of it, so I'm not going to complain.
Boom. Only Limitless got a mention in the last podcast episodes as well. So
Yeah,
we're doing well. If we mention it enough, we'll eventually
yeah.
be getting that Odeon
And they're going
ad.
to sponsor us.
Yeah, that's the plan. I don't mind admitting it. Okay, so Odeon Limitless member Joe Matthews. What has been your favourite film of 2025 so far?
Well, there's a couple to choose from, but I actually went for Warfare because one of my top four films of all time is actually Civil War, which is by is it Alex Garland, the director, and Warfare was by the same guy. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm gonna like this film. It's got Will Poulter and his crazy eyebrows in it as well. And yeah, I accidentally was an hour late the first time I tried to watch it, so I booked on for the next screening and watched it basically again, and it was really really good. Lived up to the hype. I went home and I was watching YouTube videos about it. So yeah, I'll go with Warfare for that one. Have you got an answer for that, or are you just interrogating me? Or
I do have an answer for that, which I talked about at length in the previous episodes with my friend Reese, and we had the same one. We both said Sinners.
yeah, that was when I was looking through my list. That was definitely up there. But yeah, can't argue with that. Great shout.
Yeah, I can't argue nor agree with you because I haven't seen Warfare yet, and I
You need
did
to
want
see
to go
it.
see it in cinemas.
Yeah.
And but I have a couple of follow up questions to what you've been saying. So first of all, how are you accidentally an hour late to the
Right.
cinema?
So I think like most people, all of my the clock on my phone is a 24-hour clock, and for whatever reason, I think I read 16:20 and just converted it to 20 past 3. I don't even know how. I know that makes no sense, but I only realized. I mean, I walked in and they just scanned my ticket as normal, told me what screen to go to in a very calm manner. So I just assumed that I was on time. And then I
Okay.
opened the door to the cinema room. All the lights were off, and I was confused 'cause I thought there was a chance it was just an advert for the army. So I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, wait a second." And then I saw Will Poulter and I was like, "I'm just," and then I checked the time and I was like, "Oh, I'm really late." And my seat was like in the middle of one of the middle rows.
Oh
So
no.
instead of walking through to it, I just went down to the next seat that was free on the aisle. And then just sort of watched. I think it would have been the last 40 minutes or so or whatever.
You watched
Uh,
the whole 40 minutes?
I felt really awkward leaving because I thought people
Oh,
might think, "Who's this idiot?" Because and otherwise, and also I would have had to go out and then just sit around for a bit. Um, so I decided I realized that is a weird decision, but
yeah.
it was worth it because it was really good. And then obviously with the context of the first hour of the film, the last 40 minutes is a lot better.
Yeah,
Um,
I can
but
imagine
it
for
wasn't the
most
first
films,
time.
for most films, the last 40 minutes tend to be better if you've seen the first 60.
Yes,
That was a segue, but let's get back to another question I have before we talk about Christopher Nolan, and that's your biggest letdown for 2025.
I am gonna sound like a bitter, twisted old man when I say this, right? But I'm a big, like yourself, I'm a big Formula One fan. And I genuinely was really, really excited to see F1. I still think the advert is one of the best adverts I've seen all year. the trailer was just really good. I was really excited to see it, and I was prepared for it to be a little bit inaccurate. And I was happy for that. I understand this. The film's not really for me, is it? It's to bring new fans in and whatnot. But the first time I watched it, I got really bored, and I just thought like some of the again, I won't do too many spoilers for this one because this is still you can still see it in cinema, but some of the plot points and things that the drivers do in the races were just so extreme that I just sort of lost interest a little bit. But I'll put a little caveat on the end. I went to rewatch it again with my mum. Not that that's relevant, but I went with my mum, and the second time I watched it, I found it a lot more enjoyable because I could sort of put all of the extraordinary stuff a bit to the side and just enjoy it for the film. But the first time I watched it, I think that probably ticks the box of feeling a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I'd
To be
agree with you. I'd agree with you. Like, I went to see it on like one of those big showcase screens as well, so it looked
uh,
amazing. But I was same as you. I thought it misrepresented the sport a little bit,
yeah,
and it was such a like I kind of knew going in it was going to be like a basic racing movie plot because most of the time they
mm,
just are. That like it's not much nuance is there with racing movies, and so I was just like a bit yeah. I was annoyed that it didn't surpass my expectations. Would be my
yeah.
experience. But then,
I
like
think. Oh, sorry, go on.
sorry, yeah, like yourself, when I went to then see it again with my parents, and I lowered my expectations to sort of let it wash
Mm,
over me. It was a bit more
yeah,
enjoyable.
yeah. I think that it looked really good. I think the acting was pretty good,
Yeah,
but for me, it was just the some of the crashes and whatnot are a bit extraordinary. But again, second time I could enjoy it, and I like the way it was filmed was unbelievable. I thought for a minute I was going to be in it because you know how the racing at the Hungaroring take is a big part of the film. I was
yes,
there for that one when they were
okay.
filming it. And I was quite close to the track. So part of me was thinking, I might, I might be in the background of a scene here or there. I'm not, but I thought that would have been cool. But yeah, so that was good. I could enjoy that a bit more the second time around as well. But yeah, what's your biggest letdown then?
Mine was Jurassic World Rebirth,
Oh, okay,
which I found insanely boring. Uh,
really?
yeah, and just well, yeah, yeah, we've come a long way since Jurassic Park, and it's trended in the wrong direction.
Do you
And
think I that's one that I've still been meaning to see, just not got around to it yet. But is it not worth it?
I would say it's not worth it. But you've got
No,
Odeon Limitless,
I do.
and that is kind of the thing. It's like you can like it's not like oh no, I'm getting rid of like 12 quid on a ticket.
That is true. Yeah,
Like so you
but
can kind of
sometimes
get away with seeing something naff.
yeah, but that was kind of part of the intention when I got it. It was so that I could watch something even if I thought it was going to be rubbish.
Yeah,
Um, but to be fair, and I think a lot of films that are coming out, I've been very impressed. I think with the general level of films that have come out that I've seen in cinema this year,
okay.
generally they've been pretty good. And I'm saying like at worst, I'm giving them 6 out of 10 or 3.5 out of 5 or whatever. So generally, though, I've been fairly impressed overall. I would say.
Yeah, I'd say I've been more selective, so I think I can say that as well. Actually, to be fair, um, but I felt a little bit let down by F1 as well, like you said. I felt a little bit let down by the last Mission Impossible.
Really, I see. I quite enjoyed that one. My expectations for that were through the floor. I had no expectations for that at
Okay,
all. So I quite enjoyed, and I appreciate. I think I gave it 4 out of 5. Actually, I thought that was
nice.
really good.
I mean,
That is,
the submarine sequence I thought
mm,
was insane. That was amazing.
mm,
Um, but then I just thought it was a bit too bogged down, a bit too dreary, and I didn't like how MacGuffin the villain was. You know, it being an
yeah,
AI. I just thought
yeah.
I think the franchise peaked with Fallout.
Okay, yeah. I can't.
So
I can't argue with that. Yeah. Do you know one more film that I was a bit disappointed by was
okay,
the Phoenician Scheme.
okay,
I I love well, I don't know if I love all Wes Anderson films, but I'm a really big fan of Fantastic Mr. Fox. For me, that's a perfect film.
that's a great film. Good
And
shout.
The Grand Budapest Hotel. I think they are some of the best. They're probably both in my top 50.
Yeah,
And I remember again with the trailers for the Phoenician Scheme. I thought were really good. They're quite witty, quite clever. But then it kind of almost felt like it got to the point where when I watched the film, the trailer was so good because they put all the best parts of the film in the trailer. And I just wasn't. Again, like you say, I definitely didn't feel like my expectations were surpassed. Yeah,
Yeah. It's always annoying when that happens, when you get the best bits of the trailer. The best bits of the film are in the trailer. I hate when that
yeah,
happens. Really
it's a
annoying.
bit frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then one more question before we go into Nolan. What was the last film you saw in the cinema, or most recent
Ooh,
film?
I think you're asking me this at a good time. I think I went 2 days ago to watch Materialists at my local Curzon, so not even using the
Oh,
limitless this time.
fancy.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is definitely not as good as the reclining seats at the Odeon. Nothing beats them. But anyway, that's a different. We're not being sponsored, so that's a different topic.
Let's be a bit more impartial.
Yeah. But I thought Materialist was good. My mum wasn't very impressed, but I thought it was nice because one of my favorite films is Past Lives, which is also by Celine Song, and I think she realised how devastating Past Life was and tried to make people happy again with Materialists.
Right.
Yeah,
We've done all that. Let's get on to Christopher Nolan, who I think we're both big fans of.
yes,
He's like he is like the go-to guy nowadays, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah,
And his sort of films now are like being met with such like anticipation, like the Odyssey coming out next year, but they're already
yeah,
selling IMAX tickets. I think.
yeah. I mean, I think if you were to tell me that they were going to make a film only using IMAX cameras, I immediately would have picked Christopher Nolan to do it. He feels like the right person to do it. The way everything's so dramatic with him, isn't it?
Yes, he goes big. He goes hard. And I remember I saw the Odyssey trailer come on, I think before Jurassic World Rebirth as well. So, and I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't know what was being trailered for a moment. And then I was like, oh,
Mm.
it was the most exciting moment of that screening, actually. Yes, past Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah,
So
but
what we're going to do,
really good. Sorry, go on.
we're going to rank them, or rank Nolan's films, our top fives, and we're going to go in order, but we're going to go back and forth. And I'm going to keep score of yours, Joe, because you've written on Film News Blitz in the past and given your top five. So I'm going to
Yeah.
see if they match up.
Okay.
And if they don't, I think that's a beautiful example of how film opinions can shift.
Okay. I was worried you were going to say you're going to fire me then, but I'll take that. Yeah. Film opinions always change, guys. Also, for reference for viewers, I was told that this was going to happen. I have not been back and looked at the article, so I can't remember what I said. I don't know if it's my top five or that is the top five. Look, I'm just getting nervous, guys, because integrity and all that. I think this is going to be different. I'm pretty sure it's going to be different.
I'm going to quickly say, okay, so this is what it says in the opening. This is what it says in the opening of your article. With that in mind, Film News Blitz's Joe Matthews picks his top 5 favorite Nolan movies. Anyway, so with that, on that note, let's kick things off with your number 5.
Okay, my number 5 is I've gone Batman Begins.
You've already got off course from your.
I thought so. I don't know when I wrote that. I might not have watched these recently.
Okay.
But Batman Begins for me is a film that establishes a superhero trilogy in about as good a way as it could possibly do it. I feel like the characters are all established so well. The story is, the stage is just so well set. The villains are. I can't remember who's the villain in that one, but I've got all the. Oh, I've got also. It's about the League of Shadows, which I think is a very goofy name, but I just think it's so much fun, and it's just so. I just love it. It's just really good. I'm not typically into huge superhero films or anything like that, which might disappoint you with the Batman and the Superman posters behind you.
We've got a few
and more
super posters behind me. We've got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Yes.
So not typically a huge fan. I'm not against it, but Batman Begins just really, really impressed me. So that's my number 5. What is your number 5?
Well, before I say my number 5, do you want to know what
Oh
your
yeah,
number 5 was on the website? You put The
yeah.
Prestige.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I don't
I
want
mean,
to say too much. I don't want to say too much. That is a great film. It might even appear later in my top 5. Who knows?
now
Who
that
knows?
is exciting. What a tease.
To, to
Um,
be fair, also, sorry, just a quick
go for it.
segue. Kind of not really segue. My ranking has changed for a very legitimate reason, and we'll get to that. If I'm to get to the Prestige, Prestige might be in my top 5. No spoilers, but I'll say why it's changed um, when we get there because it's changed for a very good reason. I think you'll appreciate it. Anyway, what is
Okay,
your top 5?
that's quite exciting. Well, my number 5 is Memento,
Okay,
which is obviously we're going all the way back to the beginning for Nolan, or it's his second, isn't it? Really, um, I think just for its very clever narrative construct in terms of we're seeing a story in reverse because we have a central character played by Guy Pearce whose memory's completely shot to bits, and he's
okay,
having to retrace his memory to solve uh, a mystery. I haven't watched it in ages, which is probably why my thing. Basically, I've done mine really off the cuff.
okay. That's fine.
But I think really, I mean, Nolan's obviously got his knack of putting things a bit timey wimey, wibbly wobbly,
Yeah,
and this is the perfect example of it. And it's so tightly done, and it's so, when you get to the end of your watch and the beginning of the character's story, but the end of the viewer's story, it's yeah, he lands the
I
plane with aplomb.
okay. I'm really really glad you said that at number 5 and not like top 3 because Memento is the only one of the I think it's the only Christopher Nolan film, the only sort of big one that I've actually not seen, which is
Ah,
really poor from me. It's almost a lack of integrity coming on here, but I'm glad you said that at 5 and not 1. Because if you got to number 1 and I was like, I've just not seen it, that looks really bad. But yeah, Memento, I really want to watch it because I watched Tenet the other day and I was
yeah,
impressed. But I feel like
okay.
Memento is the original, mess up of time, isn't it?
Mm,
And I've heard a lot about it, but I just need to get around to watching it. But I'm glad you
yeah.
said that now.
Interesting. I think you're going to prefer it to Tenet because for
Yeah,
me, Tenet is one of his more underwhelming films where I think
yeah,
he got too wrapped up in the. I mean, it's all about like time travel and all that crap, isn't
yeah.
it? Not crap, but you know what I mean.
I know, yeah.
And I think it's. I mean, it's exquisitely made. Obviously, because Nolan does things like with precision. Um, but I came out of it. I was like, yeah. Uh,
Okay.
not didn't. I mean, it hyped. I mean, like I think it looked amazing. I think the trailers made it look really cool. But then I was like, nah, it didn't get me in the feels. Didn't
Yeah.
stoke some sort of rabid reaction from me like his other films do. The funniest bit for me in Tenet is because it's quite noisy, that film.
It is very
And it's the
noisy.
bit when Kenneth Branagh's like Russian evil man falls off the boat after he's been killed. It goes
Yeah.
silent. There's no music, and then we hear his body bonk on the side of the boat before he falls in the water. And that was a personal highlight for me with that film.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's an interesting personal highlight to pick, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all.
there we go. So right, We're gonna moving swiftly on to your number 4.
Okay, my number 4. The best of the trilogy for me is The Dark Knight Rises. That is my number 4. Getting all the Batman ones out of the way. Yeah, I just think the villains in it are unbelievable. But I can't believe you look really
You,
shocked.
you just said this is the best of the trilogy.
I think it's the best of the 3 Batmans, yeah. I think they're all fantastic, by the way. Any 3 of them could be in this list.
That's a
But for me, The
controversial.
Dark Knight Rises, I think I'm an absolute sucker for when if they can round off a trilogy in a way that pretty much all the important characters have their storylines not necessarily cut off, but they round it out in a nice way. And for example, in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the last
Yes,
film, it's got like 20 endings because it's such a complex
it
story,
does.
but they tick every box. And I feel like this is the same thing. I was just at the end of the film, and like I say, Tenet didn't get you in the feels. I got to the end of The Dark Knight Rises, and I was like, that is just amazing. The way that
Okay.
it finished off all the characters, with I've got this written down here with um, Robin finding the cave was
Yeah.
one big bit. Lucius having the software patch. and the thing with Alfred at the
Yeah,
cafe with the nod in the
little
head.
nod.
I mean, it's such an iconic scene. I just think they really really nailed it. And Bane is one of the best villains in film.
Yeah,
So
and obviously we all get to try and mimic his funny voice. Um, I haven't even got this in my top 5,
okay,
and I don't rate it as the top of the trilogy.
I'm guessing you go for
Well,
right.
put a pin
Oh,
in
okay,
that, and we may get to
okay.
it.
Well, I was
I
going to say
will
if you've not
say,
got one of the
I
Batmans in your top
'cause
5, that's pretty poor.
no, I've got the no, yeah, he's on the wall, but he's not in the top yet. A feature. Um, I will say because this film, I think your take may be seen as controversial because I think some people
Mm,
saw The Dark Knight Rises as maybe an underwhelming finish, but I agree with you. I think it really ends that trilogy really well. I think Bane is great because you really get that he's intimidating. I mean, he absolutely beats the shit out of Batman in the middle of the film. I
yeah,
remember going to see it, and when Batman comes back and fights Bane again and starts winning the fight, I remember felt like I was at a boxing match. I was like, "Fucking go
yeah,
on, get in!" I was so pumped. And also, I remember being I would have been 17. So Anne Hathaway's Catwoman was obviously a big highlight of that film for
Mm,
me as well. I was like, okay, well, this is pretty good. We're enjoying this
she's
as
a
well.
very good Catwoman.
And she is a great Catwoman as well.
Mm,
Um, yeah, so I agree with you on many things about that film, but I disagree with you on maybe some fundamental things about its place in
some
the
pretty
Batman.
important things, yeah.
But that's fine. So my
Some
number
people.
4, and we've already spoken about it, is Batman Begins.
Okay, yeah.
And mainly for all the reasons you were saying, to be honest, a perfect way to kickstart a trilogy, a perfect way to, I mean, redefine Batman after Batman and Robin, which is
Mm,
probably one of the worst
the worst
superhero
ones of
films
all time, yeah.
ever. And so that was a relief to not have to endure a Batman that was like that. Yeah, just everything that he set up in that film, like how cool
Mm,
the Batmobile was, sort of, really how real he made the world, Gotham. And then, yeah, a really compelling villain and an interesting sort of argument that being made between Ra's al Ghul and Batman about, whether to condemn a fallen city or to try and save it.
mm,
Um, and then you've got like the great line with Michael Caine. It's like, what's the point of all those push-ups if you can't lift a bloody log? So
mm,
it's got the fun little quips in it, but not too much like maybe
yeah,
certain films do, like Marvel, which is sort of taught every blockbuster that we have to have random jokes everywhere.
yeah.
So yeah, that is my number 4.
I've got one more point, which
Okay,
about the fact that my 4 and 5 are both Batman, which is that I think for me, Gareth Bale is the best of the
Gareth
best
Bale.
Batman I've seen. Gareth Bale, Christian Bale. Why has that just gone from my head? Yeah, do you know what? I was thinking that in my head before. I was like, yeah, don't get this wrong. Anyway, yeah. So Gareth Bale, that famous Spurs left winger, is the best Batman for me.
Maybe he is.
I prefer him to Robert Pattinson. That's his name, right? There's not.
Yes, Robert
Yeah,
Pattinson.
I prefer him to Robert Pattinson. I think he's also good, but for me, Gareth Bale, I think obviously I know his Batman voice is a bit possibly a bit over the top, but it's a superhero film. I like it.
Yeah, I think this is something I've seen recently. Actually, people like getting on him about his Batman voice. I think his
Mm.
Batman voice is great. He's
Yeah, I
Batman.
agree.
He's
Yeah.
got to sound scary.
He's got to sound nothing like his normal person as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly. If you sounded too much, I think he is the best Batman, but I sometimes lean into thinking that Michael Keaton is the best Bruce Wayne
yeah,
because he's very quirky as Bruce Wayne, and you're like, okay,
yeah,
that's a guy who's really kind of messed up because of what
yeah,
he's doing. Like, this is
yeah.
having an effect on this guy. The jury's out on Robert Pattinson
Mm,
because we've only had one film and it's taken them about half a century to do the follow up. Um,
yeah.
but on a side note, the Batman, very good. Really enjoyed it. Oh, looks like
It didn't. Wait, did it come out this year? It came out. What is it? 2023, 2024,
2022.
2022. Yeah, I think again, I love these films so much,
Okay.
and I just don't think that one's as good as. Again, I could have a whole. We could do an hour just on that. I think
Should we
there
do a
was so
Batman? We'll do a Batman episode another time.
we'll have to. We'll have to.
Right. So we're on to number 3 now
We're
in
down
our
to number
list.
3.
You go, sir.
My number 3. And by the way, I want to clarify as well. By this point in the list, these could probably go in any order. Oh, actually, sorry. Who did I put for number 4 in my article?
Oh yeah, you deviated again.
Have
You
I?
went for Inception.
Okay. Well, that's not
What's
too bad.
interesting is the 2 films you've mentioned so far,
Yeah.
neither of which you put in that list. So
That's not too bad because at my number 3 is Inception.
okay, there we go.
So we're not too far off. Yeah, I think Inception again. Like I say, by the time we get to this point in the list, they could probably all go anywhere. For me, they're all these and the top my top 3 are all perfect films. I wouldn't change anything with them. I think Inception is one of the most clever, well designed films ever. It looks great, sounds great. The actors are amazing. The performance is amazing. Like I say, it's got a couple of little quips in there, like when I can't remember his name. They're in the other guy's dream, and so I'm just as I'm thinking about this, I'm just realizing there are about 5 of the same actors from Batman in this film.
He likes to
Yeah,
return to his actors, doesn't he, Christopher Nolan?
yeah, but that they're in his dream, and all the characters are looking at them, and he says to the lady, "Oh, I think we should kiss to see if they, like kiss me." And then they kiss, and all the characters are still looking at them, and he just goes, "It was worth a try." And that's a really good scene. Anyway, but yeah, I think the way that they do the different storylines parallel to each other works really well. And again, must be such a difficult thing to do. And the last thing I would say about it is the elevator scene. Is it the elevator scene? The corridor scene.
Yes.
Probably one of the best scenes ever. If we're being honest, it's unbelievable. Every time I watch it, I'm just sat there thinking, how on earth did they film that? And that's the power of Christopher Nolan films. They just do that to you. So yeah, that's my number 3. What about yourself?
Well, my number 3 is Oppenheimer. So probably, I mean, obviously his most recent film, and I just thought it was pretty bloody good. I just enjoyed, obviously, yeah. I didn't know much about Oppenheimer as a dude going in, and I felt like I learned quite a lot about him coming out. I thought it was phenomenally acted, particularly Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. The bit where he has this sort of like meltdown at the end, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And it was nice to see, because obviously he does these really grand films, and this was felt like a more of an intimate character study. So it felt like a bit of a segue for Nolan in a way. Yeah. So, and I just thought it looked stunning as well. That was
Yeah,
another thing for me. But yeah. So I'm going to put
I
Oppenheimer.
think I think for Oppenheimer, I can appreciate that it is objectively an amazing film, but it was just so long,
Okay.
and I don't know if I was just in the wrong mood to watch it when I went to the cinema that day, but I think I did fall asleep for a couple of minutes, and I feel bad for people around me because I think sometimes I snore. Um, but yeah, and I don't know. I feel like if I'm falling asleep during a film, that's probably not a good sign.
No.
But like I said, I can definitely appreciate that it is, of course, a fantastic film. But I think to put it into perspective, one of my friends is watching it at the moment, and I say he's watching it at the moment because he's watching it in 30-minute
Like
episodes.
a TV series.
Like I think when he gets the train to work in the morning, he just watches a bit, and he's been
Okay.
watching it for a week. So,
Oh wow.
well, yeah, it's just a very long film,
It
but
is a long
yeah,
film.
it is
Yeah.
good. It is good,
Okay.
objectively.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I must have put myself in the right frame of mind then. I I normally will look up the runtime before going in as well.
Yeah,
And sorry, my cat's meowing. And then yeah, so I was seated and I was like, right, I'm gonna be in this for the long run. And my
Yeah,
wife came with me, and if it's a film's too long, she will normally get bored. But she was either being kind to me and said that she didn't find it boring. I mean, she was awake throughout as well, and if she's going to fall asleep, she will fall asleep.
good
Um,
stuff.
so that's not, yeah, that's pretty good. But yes, anyway, right, we're getting to the business end now,
Mm,
and you've already made the declaration. Yours can sort of be fluid in their order. Oh, should I tell you what your number 3 was?
yeah.
It was what mine is now. It was Oppenheimer.
Was it? Oh, okay, yeah. I
Mm.
think I was trying to mix in a bit of the objective opinion there as well,
Yeah,
because, like I said, I can absolutely agree that it is a fantastically made film, but I don't think it's as good as my number two, which which we spoke about before, which was the Prestige.
cool.
And the reason why it's jumped up from where was it? Did I put it at five?
You put it at 5 originally, yeah.
I put it at five. The reason why it's jumped up, and I think this probably could go the same for again, probably pretty much every Christopher Nolan film where he's like made a story, is that it's so much better when you rewatch it
Okay.
because it like if you can be able because it's almost a different film when you know who is who and what's going on. It just elevates the film to such a high level. And obviously, I think when I wrote that, I think I'd watched The Prestige not long before, which is part of the reason I wanted to write the article. Um, but I think I've rewatched it 2 or 3 times since. It's just like every time I've watched it, there's just something else going on, and I found myself like after I came out of I was going to say out of the cinema after I watched it at home, I instantly was on YouTube trying to looking up, you know, the ending of The Prestige. What does it mean? And snippets from behind the scenes or whatever. And it's just such an just an impressive feat of filmmaking and storytelling. Um, and yeah, I put on my letterbox review, which I'm going to shamelessly plug here, that I felt really bad for my housemates because I was doing the is it North London? I was doing the accent
Okay.
for like a week after watching it, where he's going fucking hell and all that sort of stuff. I was just doing it forever, for 400 times a day. But I feel like they probably felt like it was a lot more than that. But yeah, the Prestige for me number two, and it's jumped because of the rewatchability, which I think is so important for films.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you made. And interesting, you've said the same thing you said for this film as you said for Warfare, is after watching it, you went on YouTube and you tried to discover as much as you could as possible, which I
Yeah,
think is always a really good indicator that you like loved a film. Like, even if you're not watching it, you kind of want to know or find out as much about it as possible to kind
yeah,
of be experiencing it, but like adjacent.
yeah.
I'm going to make a really shocking admission and say that this is an omission from my Nolan watching. I
Wow.
haven't seen the Prestige, so obviously I need to get
What
on.
what I will say is that I can't see a world where it doesn't jump up into your top five somewhere. I just think it's that good. Like, it
There we go.
really is really impressive.
I don't know why I haven't watched it. It came out quite similar in terms of timing to Batman Begins, didn't it?
Yeah, 2006 and Batman Begins was 2005. Yeah,
5.
literally the year after.
So I was probably just too much of a juvenile, stupid
Uh,
teenager at the time to probably like put myself in
yeah.
the headspace.
But how old were you back then? Back in the day?
I'm not even a teenager. I would have been 2006. I would have been 11.
Wow,
So I've
you're
dated
so
myself
old.
there. If
I'm
anybody wants to do any
joking.
quick maths, but let's move swiftly on because I don't want to dwell on that. We're on number 2, aren't we?
We are
Yes.
indeed on number two.
My number 2 is Interstellar.
Wow. Okay, I didn't think we were jumping in that early with Interstellar. And
That's
I
what
say
that
early
means.
at number
Second to
two.
last.
Okay,
I think
go on.
I might be quite similar to you in terms of maybe my top 2 could flip around, but I absolutely love this film, and I'm a big I love sci-fi, and I think Interstellar is a science fiction movie that I would say it's like a perfect science fiction movie.
Yeah,
Like, and just some of the bit when they're trying to like dock the spaceships into one another and like have tenses. The music is
yeah,
absolutely incredible. Like the emotional connection between Matthew McConaughey's character and his daughter in all her ages. I mean, that devastating ending. Oh, unbelievable! My mum was not a big fan. She calls it the film of the bookshelf, and I'm like, but it's based on some scientific theory. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Mum, do you not understand why the bookshelf is so important?
And also that bookshelf has become great for like memes and stuff, particularly in a football context.
Yeah.
Which
Don't
I think
let
is
me
really good.
leave. Yeah.
When you get a good meme, and then you go back and realize that it's like fucking Timothy Chalamet is his kid, and you're like,
Yeah.
shit, it's Timothy Chalamet. But like,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you've got Casey Affleck in it, who's obviously an incredible actor.
Mm.
Oh, I just love that film. Everything about it is like exquisite.
Have you seen the stuff about how Timothy Chalamet initially had a much bigger role in the film? So initially he had a much bigger role in the film,
Okay.
and they showed a lot more scenes with him in it. But I think he was quite shocked at the premiere that they'd cut a lot of his role out, and then a lot of I think one of the most popular comments on Letterboxd on Interstellar is, I'd also be really frustrated if my role was cut in half and then they turned me into Casey Affleck. So yeah, you got to feel for Timothy Chalamet a little bit, but yeah, I agree. It's an unbelievable film.
Yeah, I've seen that recently. I thought that's an interesting because, well, I guess that's the power of editing. Maybe the film would have been completely different if we had more weight of
Mm,
the younger version of the son, because obviously it was mainly the focus on the daughter. It is quite funny, isn't it? Because
mm,
he's like
yeah,
distraught about leaving his daughter, and it's like, "See you later, son. I'm never going to see
yeah,
you again." Will I see you later, mate. Like,
yeah. Enjoy the farm. Yeah.
but yeah, um, yeah, I love that film. I remember seeing that in cinema for the first time, like one experience.
Mm,
I was quite lucky. I was in a screening like on a Monday, and it was like virtually empty because it was like in the middle of
yeah.
the day. It was just me and my dad, and yeah, that was pretty cool. It was like having a private screening.
Yeah.
Um,
See,
yes.
it's funny you say that because I went to rewatch it on an IMAX screen in Liverpool, because they were putting loads. Again, they're doing it now at Odeon, but they were putting loads of Christopher Nolan films on in the IMAX screens. And I remember I'd like bookmarked it a couple of weeks in advance because they said they were going to do it, and then I forgot to book it. And then it was like a week before, and I was like, "Oh, I'll book it now." Completely booked out. This mass, like there's probably like I don't know, more than 100 seats in this huge screen. And then it was the day of the film, the showing, and I thought I'll just check to see.
Mm.
And by some crazy fortune, there was one seat left, so I booked it straight away. Pretty much ran out of the house to go and see it, and it was absolutely worth the effort. That is, the picture of Martin Scorsese going like that, and it says Absolute Cinema.
Yeah.
That is in Stellar, and it was absolutely worth it.
Oh, smashing.
Mm.
Right then, we're into the true business end. Our top films.
Mm.
Coincidentally, you put The Dark Knight as your number two in your article.
Okay,
But anyway,
fair enough.
this is your
I like
number
it.
one. What is your
Yep,
favorite Christopher Nolan film, sir?
it's Interstellar.
Hey,
There's no avoiding it. I just like I said. I mean, I've already sort of started on it a bit there, um, but yeah, I mean, I've seen it probably 5 or 6 times now. I'm actually going to see it tomorrow with a
oh
friend
nice.
in again in the cinema, and it's just that good. I recommended it to one of my friends, again, who's very scientifically intelligent, let's say, um, and I didn't get to go with him, but the way he described it to me afterwards was that he felt it was so good that it's unfair to other films. Um, and I think
That's,
that's a great way of putting it. And then the other thing I've got written down here is that I saw a video of someone interviewed Jacob Elordi at some point, and he said that his aim as an actor was to do more than just act and to be a part of like cinema, not just to
yeah,
be in films, but to create true cinema. And that's how I feel. That's the feeling that Interstellar gives me. It just the whole time, I've got goosebumps on my arms the entire way through. There are so many little facts about it, the way that they call back in time and the bookshelf, and "Don't Let Me Leave, Murph," and Jessica, is it Jessica Chastain? Just everything about it is just absolutely unbelievable. And yeah, it's my number one. It's for me, it's one of the best films of all time.
yeah,
Um, Again, I've probably thrown that about a bit too much today, but I don't regret it. Christopher Nolan's definitely up there, and Interstellar is too. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Also, from a sort of personal standpoint, the fact that he's a English director kind of makes you feel kind of proud, like a
100%.
us.
Yeah, well,
I kind of that is the number one on your article as well, so that hasn't
yeah,
changed,
that's not changed.
which is interesting. But yeah, there's so many. I'll talk about it a little bit more before I talk about my number one, because there is so many beautiful moments, like when you've got is it Michael Caine recounts that poem, do not go gentle.
Yeah,
I think it's when they're just about to go into like I think cryo or something, and you've got them like in space, the backdrop of them in space. I think going beyond Saturn or something. And
yeah.
you've got that being played over. And it's like that's absolutely incredible. And then
That's-
Matthew McConaughey's acting when he's watching his kids grow
Yeah.
up in front of him via tape recordings in the space of like
Yeah,
seconds.
I cry to that every time.
And it gets to the end, and it's Jessica Chastain, and then you've got a transition to where she is on the other end of the camera. I was like, whoa, that's slick. Oh, yeah, I might go rewatch it now.
I would do it.
Yep.
I would do
Yeah.
it if I wasn't watching it tomorrow, but
I do want to go watch it in a cinema again as well.
come to
So
Sheffield, mate. It's the best city in the north. Come over to Odeon Lux, Sheffield, and watch Interstellar with me and my mate.
An Odeon Lux.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Well,
I
you're
have
living
no idea what
a
the difference
classy
is.
experience there. Sheffield's a bit of a drive for me, though. I am in Southampton.
Oh, there's only what, like 6 hours on the road or something like that.
Yeah. Right. It's a tempting offer. Logistically a nightmare, but it's Interstellar. Maybe I can find a
There you go.
like whip round or
Just
something.
wait 20 years. Come back.
There we go. I'll just run through my bookshelf and then I'll be there.
True.
Right. My number one is The Dark Knight, which was your number two in the article, and I don't think it's made it into your list. It's not even made it into your five,
It hasn't.
which I think is outrageous because it is the best of the trilogy.
Okay.
You are wrong. Sorry, but it's got probably the best interpretation of a character put to screen in the 21st century in Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It's got an opening sequence that is almost its own film in terms of the bag heist. And every time I watch that, I'm like, this is like an amazing short film that kicks off this movie. And I just think it is. Oh, I love it. And I think I saw it like multiple times when it first came out in the cinema. Again, yeah, I was, it became quickly established that I was a big Batman fan in my household. My dad liked the Michael Keaton films, so I grew up watching those on DVD. And then, yeah, after seeing Batman Begins, the hype for this film, how good Heath Ledger was, the how we had Two-Face, Harvey Dent's story told, I thought was incredible. That Batpod truck chase sequence, the hospital sequence. Anytime someone says Rachel in my vicinity, I have to go Rachel. But I just think it's beautiful. It's an amazing film. I think it's one of my favorite films. It's probably my favorite film. I often say, if someone has to put me into a corner and say, "What's your favorite film?" I would probably say that, which is probably why I've put it just above Interstellar, which I would say is probably my favorite sci-fi.
Yeah.
But when you say favorite films, a lot of mine are adjacent because I've even got Paddington 2 up there. That's in my top 4 letterbox.
It is a great film.
That's not that's not a guilty pleasure. That's not ironic. That is a film that I genuinely love, and I weep at the end every time I watch it. But that's not a Christopher Nolan movie. But
Wait, is it not?
I
would love to see a Christopher Nolan adaptation of the Paddington films. That would really tingle my spine.
Yeah, I would maybe after the Odyssey.
Yeah,
he'll go and do a Paddington movie.
Next project.
But yeah, Dark Knight has to be number one for me. And maybe The Prestige is going to fit in my number 5 somewhere when I watch it. Who knows?
I think it's got to. But I can't hate on The Dark Knight at all. It is fantastic. I think this is probably going to sound really daft, right? But I think Heath Ledger, like him as the Joker, is so good and you feel so powerless to him in the film that almost kind of makes me not want to watch it. I've kind of summarized that a bit, but part of me is like, this is such a helpless situation. This is just really miserable. And like
Okay.
he is, I agree, he's absolutely, like I say, one of the best performances ever. Um, with Heath Ledger, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm one for like a hopeful, uplifting film. I don't know if it sounds like that based on where I've put these other films in the list, but I love an uplifting film, and for some reason that. By the way, just for clarity, I did give The Dark Knight 4.5, which actually now, when I hear you talk about it, makes me feel like I am being very harsh, like I say. But yeah, just that I think that just that feeling of hopelessness makes me want to. I like the start and the end a lot.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah. I mean,
really-
it is quite a dour ending, that film.
Hmm,
And what's interesting is the connective tissue to Dark Knight Rises. Obviously, Heath Ledger's not in it because sadly he died before this film even came out. But the impact of the Joker and the spoilers. Well, if you haven't watched The Dark Knight, what you do? The cover up that Batman and Commissioner Gordon commit to at the end of that, and how that becomes unravelled in The Dark Knight Rises. I think is really clever and really
hmm,
interesting. So again, that's why I really enjoy The Dark Knight Rises. And I guess that is a bit more of a hopeful one, isn't it? Really, because like he
yeah.
gets to retire in peace,
Hmm,
whereas he does not get to do that. And also going back to The Dark Knight Rises, that first chase sequence when he comes back as
hmm,
Batman again, and then like that police
yeah.
officer, the older police officer's like, "What? You're in for a show tonight?" That's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So yeah, those are our top 5 Nolan films. Will next year's The Odyssey get into our top 5s? Who knows?
I really hope it does. I
Yeah,
hope it's really good. Uh,
I feel for them a little bit doing ADR because obviously if
yeah,
it's all shot on IMAX cameras, there's going to be a lot of it's all going to be ADR
yeah,
because they use noisy buggers. But what I think is interesting is I'm not well read enough to know much about the Odyssey,
really,
uh,
yeah,
so I'm going in with like total like I have no idea really what's
yeah.
going to be happening.
I'm interested. I'm interested to know which bits of it they put in, and the only reason I would say I'm a little bit well read on it is purely because I wrote an article about it. So I spent that. I think I spent literally an hour watching videos and reading articles about what the actual story of the Odyssey is. And honestly, as soon as I did that, I thought it was going to be good before, but because it's such a complex story, if Christopher, good old Christopher, if he could find a way to streamline it into, it'll probably be 3 hours. I'm guessing 3.5, maybe even. If he can do it, if he can get it into less than 4, or even less than 5, to be honest, I'll be impressed because it's quite a story. They've got quite a cast for it as well, so I'm wondering if it might get to the point where Zendaya's only in it for 30 seconds. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for it, and I will make the special effort, as I would probably recommend to all my friends and stuff, to go and watch it in IMAX instead of just at a normal screen.
That is a very good point. Well made. I think I'll have to do the same. I'll have to do the same. I'm interested as well to see Tom Holland because we haven't really
Mm.
seen him make much of a success outside of Spider-Man. It'd
Yeah,
be interesting to see if Nolan. I mean, he got a good performance out of Harry Styles and Dunkirk. So if
yeah,
we do that, and we obviously know that Holland has got a bit more acting credibility behind him than a member of One
mm.
Direction.
I did think that casting Tom Holland was an interesting choice, if I'm honest. Because I don't know about you, but when I see Tom Holland, I do just think of Spider Man, and in the Odyssey, his character's quite a goes through a very mature journey, and I don't know. I just think it'll be interesting. I'm not going to put it past Tom Holland, but I hope he does well because he seems like a nice guy. Not that he's never going to see it. Well, he might have seen it. Um, You'll never know that I think that about him, but he seems like a nice guy. But hopefully he can pull it off. But yes, it's coming out in. Actually, I have no idea. I can't even
July,
guess.
next July.
Next July. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't give you a specific date, but
yeah. Have they given a specific date?
I believe they have because, like I said,
Yeah,
And the kickoff, apparently they have been selling IMAX tickets already,
they have, right? Okay,
which is crazy.
that is, yeah,
My phone's just blowing up at the moment now, but I've taken it off of airplane mode. Right, the Odyssey, 2026 film, and John Bernthald's going to be in it as well, so that's
yeah.
quite exciting because
I
he's
think
got
he's
screen
really
presence.
good. He's really like in Fury. He's so good.
Yeah,
The level
yeah.
of drama that he just brings is just great. Like
Mm. And
whenever he
his
talks,
role as the Punisher,
yeah,
for me, him as the Punisher is on the same level as Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in terms of like a perfect portrayal of a character that I think now
okay,
nobody can really touch.
fair
Similar
enough.
to like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not too well read on the Punisher lore, but uh, um, yeah, I can't argue with that.
17th of July 2026 is what I'm being told by Google is when
Mm,
the Odyssey will hit cinemas in the United Kingdom. So there we go. We will be seated
I'll be absolutely seated.
and we will enjoy. And I feel like that's a good place to end. Um,
Yes.
looking forward to our next Nolan epic. So, Joe, thank you for joining me for our little chat, our friendly film take chat. And thank you, listeners and watchers, for joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that flim flam. YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Yeah, that's us. End scene.
See you later.